Hello everybody and welcome to the High Path channel. Today for breakfast we are going to be making something with some nectarines and peaches. Trey specifically requested some more grilled peaches. Now we made this for his birthday celebration. If you're interested in what I made for my husband for his birthday, I would highly suggest watching the video that's in the description. We made a ton of delicious foods, all following the food combinations, so if you're interested in that, go check out the video in the description. So today for him, I'm going to be grilling some peaches. We have some beautiful peaches and nectarines here. I'm going to just grill the peaches. He preferred just the peaches. And then for the kids, I'm going to bake something. I'm probably going to do like a nectarine peach muffin, and I think it's going to be really good. To bake these muffins, I am not using a recipe. I am just going to go off of instinct and experience really. So I'm starting off with some flax eggs, and I'm going to melt down some coconut oil for this muffin recipe. You could probably do without the coconut oil. You can use like maybe applesauce or bananas, but you do you. So I'm going to melt this down, and I'm going to start on some peaches for Trey's grilled peaches. I'm just slicing the peaches in half, and we are going to take out the seeds. You can see how beautiful these peaches are. I don't know if it's peach season or what, but these peaches are gorgeous and so delicious. Alrighty, we are grilling. So we have a little indoor grill cast iron skillet thingamabob. We are going to put our quartered peaches on the skillet. Make sure your skillet is nice and hot, so maybe about like a medium-high heat. I did brush it with a little bit of hemp seed oil just to prevent sticking. And I'm just gonna lay them on here, maybe add a little bit of pressure so that we can start getting those grill marks like this. For a little bit of flavor, I'm just adding some cinnamon on top of these while they are grilling. And once you get all sides grilled, top to bottom, it is time to serve it up. We are drizzling this with a little bit of honey on top just for some added sweetness, and it is ready to serve. All right, so this is gonna be for Trey's breakfast. Look how gorgeous. Back to our muffins, I've got some coconut oil, just melted coconut oil in here. We're also going to mix in about 1 3/4 cups of coconut sugar. While I'm doing that, Mercy is helping us grill the rest of our peaches and nectarines ready for our muffins too. I am dumping in the rest of the flour that I have in this packet, alongside with a sprinkling of some baking soda just for some rise. I forgot to mention I did add some apple cider vinegar as well. The apple cider vinegar and the baking soda kind of mix together, and they help make the cakes or the muffins rise. And then I added the rest of this packet of oats that I have as well. Mixed it all up. For some creaminess, I'm going to add a little bit of coconut oil, or not coconut oil, some coconut milk and a little bit of water. I'm basically just trying to make a loose pancake batter. We're going to add the chopped nectarines and peaches straight into the muffin batter, and we're going to mix it up and throw them into our muffin tins. I like to use the jumbo muffin tins because I found that the smaller sort of cupcake tins are just a little too small. So these are about maybe 2 of the regular cupcakes, and I really just prefer this size of cupcake or muffin for each person for breakfast. While breakfast is happening in the background, I decided I wanted to start off with some bread dough just to get some bread going for the day as well. Now, we like to make bread a lot at home, so I really don't measure out any of our ingredients anymore. I do have a video in the description if you are looking to make some bread yourself, and just show you how we do it without the need of precise measurements. If you've been around, you know how much I love to play with dough and make bread and all sorts of fun things with dough. I really like the process of making bread by hand. Now, if you have a stand mixer, you can definitely use a stand mixer to help you kind of knead, but really there is very limited amounts of kneading involved in making bread at home. For breakfast today, we're also going to be making a smoothie so the kids have some mangoes, pineapples, whatever fruit that they chose to put into this frozen, delicious smoothie. After letting our dough sit in the warmer for about maybe 45 minutes or so, this is what it looks like. The dough is still a little bit shaggy. It's not smooth, as you can see. And so with wet hands, I'm going to do some stretches and pulls just like this. I'm not going to make it any more difficult. I'm just going to lift it up at a 90-degree angle, pull it, stretch it, put it down, and repeat the process until I see a nice smooth dough like so. I'm going to cover this and let it proof for another 30-45 minutes or so. I figured it'd be really fun to bake our bread in our cast iron, and we're going to make sort of a bowl. Now, I don't have a small cast iron pot, but I do have a large one, so we're going to make a huge, large bowl. What we're going to do is we're going to preheat this actual cast iron pot in our oven at the highest. Really, I'll probably do it at about 475 degrees. I'm going to get it really, really hot, and then we're going to form our dough, put it in here, and then bake it. So let me get this in the oven. I'm going to preheat it at 475. I have two Benettons here that I'm working with. Now this one is our traditional one. I'm honestly not sure if my dough will fit because it's so large. I think I'm gonna just chance it and try it. I mean, worst case scenario is gonna be a little bit big, but we'll see. On a floured surface, I'm going to dump our dough ball on there, and then I decided to just cut this in half. I figured half of this dough ball will fit in that Benetton that I was talking about, and the other half I am going to freeform it and just put it in the other bowl. Just very gently, I'm going to fold the little seams down, basically trying to shape this dough as best as I can without deflating all of the beautiful bubbles that were formed during proofing. Once the dough ball is nice and tight this way, I'm going to flour our Benetton very liberally and then put the dough ball straight in. I am repeating the steps for the next dough ball, but instead of putting it in a Benetton to proof the last time, I'm just going to put it into the same proofing bowl that we had earlier. It is now lunchtime. We are in the middle of homeschooling. I have the little one here just by my side reading while I am preparing lunch. But also our bread is ready and it's proofed beautifully. So now it's time to get it into our hot cast iron Dutch ovens to bake. I've laid out some parchment paper here, and I'm going to start off with this dough. I am going to experiment with two different ways of baking. So this one, I just put it onto our parchment. I'm going to make some incisions on the dough ball. We're going to bake this on a flat baking sheet because I just wanted to know what it's going to be like. I'm going to spray it or sprinkle it with a little bit of water just to steam. That steam will help it poof up a little bit, and I'm going to bake that for 20 minutes in a hot oven at 450. I'm starting a tomato sauce, so I've just got some onions and celery. I forgot to buy carrots, so I don't have that in here. I also have some leftover sage here from husband's birthday. I'm going to add into our red sauce just for some added herbaceousness. Our first loaf came out, it was a little overdone, but that's okay, it's nice and crusty. I didn't take into account that this was not in a Dutch oven covered, so it did get a little too brown. Moving on to our next loaf, this is the one that we proofed in a Benetton. The dough looked beautiful. I'm gonna score it as well here. I don't know why I get so scared of scoring it. I fear that I'm gonna score it wrong, but I did my best. I did 2 little slices down in the middle. Our Dutch oven is nice and hot, preheating at 475 degrees. I'm just gonna pop it in there, add the water just like the first loaf, because that extra steam really helps bump up that poofiness and just helps the bread rise a lot. Let's cover this. We're gonna bake it at 450 for about 20 minutes, and then we will remove the top. For lunch today, Grace, our oldest daughter, requested some manicottis. So I have our red sauce here, which is nice and bubbly and just simmering down. I found that the more that you simmer it down, the better the flavors are, so simmer it as much as you can whenever you're making red sauce. And now we're preparing the manicotti pasta shells.
Man, Israel. I am going to be making a ricotta out of tofu. Now initially I was just going to blend it, but I figured I don't want it to be too loose, so I'm going to try to do it in a bowl here. So I've just got 2 blocks of tofu, just extra firm. I'm going to kind of mush it up, and then I'm going to season it with whatever seasonings that I feel like putting in. I'll probably put a little bit of apple cider vinegar, salt of course, and I have some frozen spinach here that I'm going to defrost. And then we will fill the manicotti little shells, and then we will top it with our delicious lentil spaghetti sauce.
In that bowl, I crumbled that tofu, and in a pan, I'm going to saute some onions and garlic in some oil. I will be cooking that spinach and adding it to the tofu in a little bit. 20 minutes is up, so I'm removing that lid, and voila, this bread is awesome. Look how gorgeous. I am so excited for this loaf. Anyway, so back to our onions and garlic. We're going to saute this down so that the onions and garlic releases its delicious flavors, and then I'm just going to cook that frozen spinach in here. Once the spinach is done, I'm just going to dump it all into our tofu mixture to season up that bland tofu. Now I've already added some salt, but you would want to add a little bit more salt to this because the tofu really does need some seasonings. Let's season this whole ricotta mix up. So I've got some nutritional yeast just for some added cheesiness and umami, some onion powder, and some salt. Grace wanted to add a little bit of this vegan cheese. This is just cheddar vegan cheese from the Follow My Heart or Follow Your Heart brand, which we love because there is no soy in it. Once all of the ingredients and all the components of the manicotti are done, it's time to put everything together in a baking dish. So I'm starting off with a layer of that sauce on the bottom. We're going to stuff this manicotti with that ricotta mixture. So we did it 2 different ways. We've never made this before, so I am going to stuff it with a spoon. I found that using the back of the spoon really helps, but I also suggested that Grace try to use a Ziploc bag type of method. So we just stuffed a Ziploc bag with some of this mixture. We cut the corner off and we're going to pipe it in basically. After trying both of these methods, I personally prefer using the spoon. It was just a lot quicker. The squeezy part of the bag, it just didn't really work out as well as I would hope. Once everything is stuffed and laid out on this pan, I'm just going to top it with the rest of this sauce. Top it with a little bit more of this Follow Your Heart cheese. We just added some mozzarella on the top and it's ready for baking. We're going to put it in for about 20-30 minutes or so at about maybe 375, 400 degrees. This bread baked 20 more minutes with the top off, and look how gorgeous. Oh! Now it is time for the manicotti to come out as well. We let this cool for about 10-15 minutes before serving so it's nice and ready to cut into.
Look at this beautiful loaf of bread, this bowl. It totally looks like a sourdough loaf. And compared to this one, I mean, this is still a loaf of bread. We'll still use it for something, but this is gorgeous. All right, guys, lunchtime. It is dinner time, and honestly, we're not hungry. We're not very hungry at all. Like, I asked the kids what they want for dinner. They were not hungry. Isaiah's hungry. So I'm gonna make sort of like a smorgasbord of items because we have like our bread still here. We have some like, I was thinking we could just do some fruit. And so I'm just gonna chop up some of this bread. We're going to grill it up, and then we're going to maybe dip it in some olive oil. We've got some peanut butter if the kids want some. We've got some leftover tofu ricotta that we made for our manicottis that we can also put on our bread. And it's just gonna be a really simple dinner for tonight before we head out to the skate park.
I thought it'd be really fun to use the griddle or the grill, the indoor grill that we have. So I am brushing the bread with some olive oil and some chili flakes mixed into it. And then we're going to put it face down to start grilling on the grill. You know what I mean. On the front side, I'm also going to paint it with a little bit of that olive oil before I turn it and grill it on the other side until it's nice and done. Some of the kids did request some grilled cheese, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add some olive oil, put it onto the bread, and grill up the bread as I put some of this cheddar onto the bread. I was hoping that the heat of the grill would slowly melt this cheese, but honestly it didn't really melt very well as expected. On our first pieces of toast, I am adding some of that beautiful tofu and spinach ricotta on it. I think this mixture is just so tasty, and I figured it'd be so good on a piece of toast. I'm sure you could have it for breakfast as well, but dinner, it's a nice little light dinner treat here, and I just really love it so much. And this is what we had for dinner. Really simple, some fruit, we got some grilled cheese, we've got a little bruschetta thing going on. It was delicious and light.
Anybody that's hungry, come over here. Well, that is dinner. That is what we ate today. Very realistic. We hope that you enjoyed spending time with us, and hopefully you got some inspiration to make your own meals. And yeah, if you're new, we would love for you to subscribe as always and like and share, and we will see you on the next video.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody. Bye.